Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for chapter 1 of the Archangels of Phobos, a web serial LitRPG science fantasy story. I'll put a link down in the description below to a quick overview of this project, and I'd just like to add that I am writing this to approximately an Australian MA classification, which is somewhere in between PG-13 and R for those of you in the United States. The sort of thing that can be on TV at 9 o'clock at night, but probably couldn't be on at 6:30. Also, the images shown are for decoration only. They may occasionally contradict the canon of the story. When that happens, the story itself is the one that takes precedence. For example, you will see Elishia, Megan and Natalia appear to be quite a bit younger in one or two of the images than they actually are. Without further ado, let's jump into chapter 1, Reach for the Stars. Reach for the stars. Rise from our cradle? Such hubris. 25th of December, 2033, 6,012 kilometers above Mars. I am here. My parents remembered Sputnik and watched Neil Armstrong. Now, at 52, I'm the captain of the Aspirant, touching down on a new frontier, soon to be the first to walk on another planet's moon. Houston, this is the Aspirant, commencing terminal landing burn. All systems nominal. Position and velocity vectors inside expected tolerances. See you on Phobos. Out. The sapphire-coated viewport below my feet frames Mars like a carved stone. Oh, how I'd love to be the first to stand on that world. It's so close, and yet so far. We simply don't have enough fuel to fight Mars's gravity twice, first to land, and then to lift again. NASA and ESA tankers are hauling propellant, but it will be 2036 before footsteps echo into eternity on Mars. Those boots won't be mine. We are the test mission, the Apollo 10 of this decade. Someone else will be the next Armstrong, but I'm fine with my role. A small place in the history books, and a chance to explore a new world. Alright, I beamed. Megan, Natalia, suit up, get into that airlock, and let's make history. First explorers on a new space frontier since Armstrong and Aldrin. And remember, everything's got to be a spectacle, Megan Fraser replied. We're the same height and the same slim build, but the similarities end there. Burns took half her face and her mother's life when she was just a kid. After years of mission planning and 8 months in space together, I still catch myself flinching. Megan is tough though. A good mind, a good heart, and a good friend. Everything's got to be a fucking spectacle, I confirmed, checking the countdown. We're going live in 97 seconds. Well, as live as we can be with 13 and a bit minutes of light lag. Remember to get the best video we can of Mars Rise, and mind your audio. We better get the swearing out of the system now. 9 billion people will be watching, including our kids. Natalia interrupted her tirade of 4-letter words in English and the odd 7-letter word in German to throw in, "You really know how to manage the tone of a big moment, don't you, Captain?" Her helmet sealed with a click as she counted over our communications loop. 34, 33. We all had to be the same size to share suit parts, but Natalia Brown is far stronger than anyone expects at our stature. Or she had been, before months of weightlessness. Space really does a number on your muscles. My thoughts drifted to home, to family. Jenny and the boys will be watching, and 2 years has been a huge ask for them. I thought of Megan's husband Alistair, a great man who always started messages with a joke to make Megan laugh before she'd bury her head in a checklist. And as for Natalia, well, she's just married to the job. Seconds to go. Helmet sealed, the airlock door closed, and words ceased as mathematics, physics, and engineering harmonized to achieve a perfect touchdown. The faint hum of a fan whirred in the airlock, fading quieter as air was pumped out of the airlock and into storage. Resupply was impossible, so we waste nothing, not even air. Houston, this is Elishia Ward, captain of the Aspirant. We've landed on Phobos. Life support system is nominal. Airlock is nominal. External ramp is nominal. We are good to go. The door opened, and 9 billion people watched 3 women walk down the stairs. One more step, one more leap. We rise from our cradle and reach for the stars. For a heartbeat, I felt like an actor delivering a line. I'd rehearsed it so many times that it lost meaning long before its short journey from my mouth into the history books. I'm here to explore new worlds, to share new horizons with Earth. If the price is playing presenter for a global audience, well, I will pay it. My small step became a giant leap under Phobos' feeble pull. 2 more pairs of boots touched down soon afterwards, mere meters in front of me. We had practiced for this in parabolic flights and it showed. The sun was smaller and fainter than on Earth, and the colour was slightly off to my eye. Shadows were razor sharp on the gravel and crater-covered surface. I checked my suit's timer, 3 seconds ahead of our tightly choreographed schedule. Perfect. Everything was under control. I returned to the script. As you know, this mission is reconnaissance and science. Recon to aid the astronauts of the next decade. Science to learn about this moon, and if it can help refuel missions of the future. Maybe we'll even uncover materials of use back on Earth. But while this is a serious mission, there is time to take you all sightseeing. The word while had been a signal, and as soon as she heard it, Natalia jumped. I hope you all enjoy Mars Rise through Natalia's camera, I said. Phobos is so small that when you jump, the horizon simply falls away, and Mars is just below my horizon now. I counted in my head. 30 seconds should get Natalia high enough, and we had thrusters in case she jumped too high. Enjoy the view, as much to Natalia as to those watching on Earth. Natalia. The captain spoke, and I jumped at the assigned time. Wasn't quite fast enough, so had the suit thrusters provide just a tiny little boost. Jumping here is strange. You get hang time that would break a basketball player's heart, but it's like jumping through syrup, with everything in slow motion. In a few seconds, a red sliver pushed over the horizon. Even that tiny crescent matched the numbers I ran and the VR sims that I built. When it clears, Mars will dominate the sky like a cinema screen dominates front row seats. Even a sliver was majestic and terrifying. The captain and the engineer were hopping too. Careful little arcs, and I laughed. I've never wanted kids. I'd rather be an adult that can experience childish glee, and having to fake that glee every day, pretending to care about inane TV shows, would crush my ability to experience it for real. Minutes later, Mars crested the horizon for real, and I let myself stare for one breath. Then it was back to the checklist. Not the captain's checklist, my own one. The base we'd live in for months wouldn't build itself, and I have code to install that no one else needs to know about. My job was to know everything about the mission, after all. Everything. Elishia. Fort Planck unfolded on schedule. The inflatable core pressurized. Then 5th gen memory foam stiffened the ribs and filled the gaps. Space construction has come a long way since the bad old days of the 2020s. Inside, Natalia worked a console with her gloves still on, as Megan logged pressures on her tablet. Its blue and red status LEDs threw sharp colours across the white interior, a little bit like Earth sirens. Megan cursed strongly, 12 letters this time, and I straightened. Anything serious? Chasing a pressure drift, she said, still calm. Might take an hour before we're comfortable out of suits. Alright, I'll leave you to it. I'll return to the aspirant to bring the geological survey kit and the mining drones. Back in 20. Movement on Phobos is slow and methodical, and it's like relearning how to walk. Even a modest push sends you into a long arc, so I kept my steps small and my hand near the suit thrusters. Despite my care, I fumbled a step badly and careened 12 meters into the air, traversing above a crater we hadn't looked into previously. I let loose some choice words in a language I'd never truly mastered, looked down, and blinked hard. As if responding to my words, a silver object appeared in the small crater's center, the size of a baseball, composed of 12 glowing wires forming the edges of a cube. It wasn't resting on the regolith, but initially surged out of it and hovered at chest height above it. Optical trick, an illusion, I said out loud, my communications link still open. I bled off my lateral speed, dropped beside it, and gave the object a curious tap with a gloved finger. The cube-shaped snare expanded and closed around me. A voice spoke inside my head, in Latin. It had been over 30 years since I sat through one mandatory semester of Latin at school. I should have remembered none of these words, and yet I understood. You have discovered Folded Dominion, Besieged Village, mana signature D27712, commencing transport. What the fuck? The world folded into a point, and a new world unfolded in its place. Natalia. My keystroke subsided, and the engineer announced proudly that she had solved the leak. There never had been a leak, of course, but I needed her and the commander out of the way. I had a mission. I'd installed the Trojans I was paid to. Every broadcast from Fort Planck or our comms would arrive in Houston as intended, but also to the Militärstab Abständisch headquarters in Berlin. Germany's military counterintelligence service paid very well. Even the private journals would sync. They would know everything. Spying on your nation's enemies was one thing, but spying on its friends? That took a special skill set. I smiled after a job well done. A very well-paying job indeed. It was unlikely that this mission would uncover much, but militarization of space was the next big frontier, and the prepared nation had unblinking eyes on everyone, everywhere, always. The captain's voice crackled. One word, Illusion came through before a channel died. Seconds later, the alarm on the engineer's tablet cast powerful blue and red lights around the room again. Not one of mine this time. My ears picked up. Radiation spike, the engineer declared. Solar flare incoming, a big one, and comms are down. We need to get the captain. She went to the aspirin and her comms are fucky, and bunker in the water cavity. I followed her outside onto a moon transformed. 300 or 400 meters away, close to the captain's last known location, stood a pillar of silvery light. It raised up into the sky, appeared to curve underneath Mars, and then connected to the sun. I heard words without a source uttering gibberish. You have discovered Folded Realm, Ruined Village, signature F1161637, commencing transport. Around the engineer and myself, the world folded into a point, and a new world unfolded to replace it. Elishia. I'd fallen hard. My head ached and I breathed slowly. As I always do when stressed, I start talking to myself, running imaginary checklists in my mind. Hallucinations, headache, dizziness, dehydration unlikely, could be cosmic rays. I'll check it out when back at the... The words died in my mouth as I opened my eyes again. The desolate landscape of craters and rocks loosely covered with gravel was entirely gone, replaced by something impossible. Farmland. A column of silvery light split the horizon in two. I stood close to a field overgrown with patches of wheat and corn. To my left, I could see a village constructed from stone, the bricks crude and the concrete even more so. There's no metal displayed, no wood, and nothing that implies efficient mass construction. A lot of work went into each of these buildings. Severe hallucinations. Must stand down from command pending treatment. Must isolate until cleared for duty. Must. My monologue cut off as a voice chimed in. The voice bore an uncanny similarity to a man who died far, far too young. A decade after losing him, I'd found love again, but not with a man. A knife of grief had twisted me in knots the last time I'd tried, like a part of me had died with him. Dean? I knew it was impossible, unless I died and this was some sort of afterlife. The voice I had attributed to my once fiancée ignored me and continued speaking. The words were in Latin, but somehow I understood them as easily as I would understand English or Korean. Stay calm, I recited to myself, going through another checklist. Observe, orient, decide, act. No matter how disoriented and confused I am, I must observe first. I'd recited other mantras to myself too, but the voice kicked in again, drowning out my inner monologue. Late life integration detected. Analyzing skill set for blood sports zone. Skill set detection complete. Preliminary skill assignments made. Highest core competency is intellect, second highest agility. Class awarded. Arcane skirmisher. Vocalize the word skills in the language of power to view your skill ratings, or class, core competencies, or items for other information. Highest detected combat skill is in crossbows. Awarding starter weapon. A familiar weight entered my right hand, a close replica of a pistol I owned on Earth. As this crossbow is optimized for critical hits and sniper use, Miracle of Calculation and Miracle of Cataclysmic Criticals awarded. I attempted to say the word skills in English, but it came out in Latin. Superimposed onto the scene in front of me, I saw what looked to be a school report card. Character sheet, Elishia Ward. Class, Arcane Skirmisher, D rank. Miracles, Calculation, D rank. Flight, C rank. Cataclysmic Criticals, D rank, Surge to B. Mythic titles, Excision's End. Sublime titles, Voidwalker. Astral, Brilliant and Lesser titles, nil. Health, 82 of 100. Resolve, 130 of 100. Surged. Mana, 100 of 100. Melodies, nil. Joys, Small Step, Giant Leap. Resolve surge by 30. Bind points, 4. Bind point 1, nil. Bind point 2, nil. Bind point 3, nil. Bind point 4, nil. Combat skills, Small crossbows, C. Ballistae and large crossbows, D+. Unarmed combat, D-. Improvised weapons, D-. Small blades, D+. Large blades, F. Siege weapons, F. Light armor use, D. Heavy armor use, F. Non-combat skills, mathematics, B+. Orbital mechanics, S. Small team leadership, D. Large team leadership, F. Mass coordination, F. Engineering, C. Focus, B. Athletics, D. They weren't just letter grades either. They also had words associated with them. The ranking stood for farcical, developing, competent, brilliant, astral, and sublime, and whoever was grading was harsh. Farcical skill with heavy armor use I could agree with, but developing in small team leadership was completely uncalled for. I'd captained a $1 trillion mission. The skills in crossbows served as further confirmation that whatever was behind this sheet considered firearms to be crossbows. I repeat the mantra I'd written an entire dissertation about in training one more time. Observe, orient, decide, act. Understand the situation I'm in first. Only then could I decide how to act. The familiar checklist felt right. Am I dead? Is this a report card on my life in some sort of afterlife? Or is this stress? I don't say these questions aloud, but I do open my mouth again. Assume it's real and act accordingly. If it's not real, it doesn't matter. Immediately, a new non-combat skill appeared in the overlay. Self-reassuring pep talk. F. If some god was playing a prank on me, it definitely has a sense of humour, and from their choice of voice, more than an edge of malice. The voice spoke again in Dean's stereotypically upper-class British accent. Achievement unlocked. Voidwalker. Visit one of the other worlds in your assigned shard without being consumed by the entities of the void between. Prize award. Angel transformation. To activate flight, vocalize the word wings. Achievement unlocked. Excision's end. Release magic back into your shard after over 2,000 years of it being sealed and excised in the void. Prize award. Angel transformation. Secondary prize award. Opportunity for information. Tertiary prize award. Many skill ranks improved. Error. Prize already awarded. Angel transformation cannot be achieved twice and is instead upgraded to Archangel transformation. What is there to do but participate in this madness? I uttered the word wings, and searing pain consumed my back. I'd experienced worse pain only twice. The only worse physical pain had been my second experience of childbirth, the time I took too long to get to the hospital. And then there'd been the pain of loss, all those years ago. I fell to my knees, then fell further. My spacesuit's sapphire glass visor shattered as my body continued to twist and warp, and a small red puddle grew in front of me. In a moment of all-consuming panic, I expelled all air from my lungs and gasped. I could still breathe. Right, that marks the end of Chapter 1. Chapter 2 will continue with Elishia's experiences, and then after that, Chapter 3 will jump over to